Okay, so we left off yesterday talking about your kids. So, how many kids do you have?
5.
And what are their names?
Oldest Joseph, second Martha, then comes Patsy, then Annalisa, and then Frank.
And how did they get their names?
I just picked them out, or my husband did.
So did you guys decide who got to name who?
I don't remember how we decided. The Annalisa was, I know I wanted somebody be named after my sister, Annalisa. Joe, because he's the oldest, we made a junior out of him later on, you know. And then Martha, after my mother, and then we named her, I think, Martha Rose. Rose is my mother-in-law's,
Okay.
you know, Martha Rose. And then Pat, you know, was Marion. That was a real Italian name. And then came, well, then Annalisa, my sister, and Frankie, I don't know who the hell he was named.
Was he named after Grandpa Frank, you think?
That could be. I forgot his name was Frank. Yeah, probably. I don't have no idea.
Okay. Okay. So, where were they born?
Huh?
Where were your kids born?
My oldest one was born in Germany. He was 6 months old when we came to the States. The rest was all born here in the United States.
Okay.
But they were all American citizens, while I was a non-citizen
Okay.
for a while.
What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite story about each child, or something that stands out about each child when they were younger?
No, all I remember, my first child was harder than the others because they didn't believe in anesthesia of any type. You just, you know. And I was at a hospital. Most people in those days, most women gave birth at home with midwives, but they teach you how to breathe inside this.
Okay.
You know, that's what I did.
Okay.
You know, up there in the hospital too, but it was easier here.
Okay.
You know.
So tell me, what was Uncle Joe like as a kid?
He was, yeah, he knew he was the oldest, and always was trying to be bossy. There was always a fight between him and Pat.
Why was that?
Not fight, but arguing because he was the oldest or thought he was the smartest, you know, and whatever. I don't, this is so long ago, I can't remember that.
What's your favorite thing about Uncle Joe?
I wouldn't know. Favorite? When? At what age?
At any age. At any age.
No, he was always attentive and remembered holidays, you know, and and he went out and worked, caddied. When he was a young kid, I don't know how that kid as a caddy, he was the skinniest. He never played football or anything like Pat, you know, and no, he always tried to make money. He always wanted to make money. That's why he never graduated from the Greenwich High School. They made him finally quit at the age of 16.
Why?
You might just as well quit because you take off more time, pretend you're sick or whatever, you know.
What was Aunt Martha like as a child?
Oh, she was, I don't know, nothing outstanding really. She went for a while to St. Catherine,
Okay.
Catholic school. That's all I remember, but no, nothing in particular. I can't remember anything there.
And what's your favorite thing about Aunt Martha at any age?
She was always at any age, all right. She was then when she left the house, before she got married. Because the first time I went back to Germany, She was married, I forgot the year. What was the year she got married?
She was a teenager, right? Wasn't she about 19, 20 when she got married?
No, she was already out of school. It was in 1969.
Okay.
I don't know if that was, no, that wasn't my first trip back to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
My second.
Okay.
When somehow somebody told me join the German club because you get a better flight. And she came with me.
Mm-hmm.
And we were supposed to be away 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That was a 6-week thing. I went to stay at my mother's place. And it just, no, we stayed at a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had rented a Volkswagen, a German Volkswagen.
Mm-hmm.
And we drove all the way from Bremen, Frankfurt, all the way up north. And, you know, she did all the driving. That was good.
Uh-huh.
But I have to think about that.
So she was a good travel buddy?
Oh, yeah, she did all the driving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she stayed at the hotel. But then, and the hotel was owned by one of my school buddies.
Mm-hmm.
She owned the hotel where we stayed, and that's where we used to have dinner, you know, and stuff like that. But she, and then she, don't forget, she was just married a few months before that. She got so homesick.
Okay.
I can't blame her.
Right.
You know, you're just married, you're going to take off for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a week, that would have been fine, you know. And she finally said, I have to make an extra flight just to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a flight. We had to drive all the way to Köln,
Mm-hmm.
Cologne, that is.
Oh, okay.
And so she could get her flight
Mm-hmm.
back to the States. I said, oh, she's not gonna make it another 4 weeks here, you know.
It's a long time.
So that was it.
So tell me, what was my dad Patsy like when he was a kid?
He was a cute kid. He's the only one who had curls. And I never wanted to curl him off, and his father said, don't curl that hair. I said, no, he is a boy. You have to cut. Not really curly, but yeah, everybody else was practically baldy when they were born, you know. And he was I think, one of the cutest kids I had, you know.
And what's your favorite thing about him at any age?
Well, I was proud of him because he's the first one of all my kids who really graduated from Greenwich High. And by then it was the new high school, you know. And he was a famous football player, you know. He's the one, every time a football player did something special, you know, they had a helmet that they would get a letter. And you start off with a G, and the whole thing would, when you get all the letters, would spell out Gurkha. And Gurkha is the name of some East European country, but they were doing specials, you know, or they were, I don't know, I can't think of the name. When they were, I can't think. Anyhow, so he had many, and I was very proud of him. And he was in all kinds of sports. He was involved in baseball, and he was co-captain of his
wrestling
team. You know, and that's it. And that's the only thing I can think. You know. It was always, and he always told me when he had his buddies over to, you know, I had a cookout for some of his buddies of the football team or whatever. And they were big kids by then, and he always warned them ahead of time, don't swear in front of my mother. And I said, all right, they should hear me now. But that kind of swearing, little kids say it these days, you know.
So he was being a gentleman.
Oh yeah, he said, you don't offend my mother like that. That was good.
And he's still like that. So tell me, what was Aunt Annalisa like as a kid?
She was, wait a minute, Ellie. She was a sweetheart too. You know, nothing. She just, whatever you told her, she would do. You know, no problem. The same thing with Frankie too.
Very easy kids.
I don't know how come that thing went off.
So tell me, what do you remember most about Aunt Annalisa at any age? What's your favorite thing about her?
She also didn't finish high school because she was involved too much with a boyfriend already.
Okay.
At her age. Okay.
Okay, and so what's your favorite thing about Uncle Frank when he was younger?
No, it wasn't. I don't go to, and he went to, by then we had a special school in not too far from us, you know, where they were teaching. When somebody was great in certain subjects, they would teach that more, you know. And that's when they ran the scholarship, because anybody without a father or without parents, period, would, anyhow, he's the one who, what was the name of that school? Dunn something.
Was that the one in Hershey? Or was that a different
No,
school?
and then from there he went to Hershey, you know, for a year, and he was, it didn't work out. He wouldn't stay another year. He could have get a fantastic, you know, high school. High school. It was before high school, you know. He was too young when he left. He was 12.
Yeah.
So, you know, in retrospect, I think that was the reason why he couldn't. He was so homesick. I wanna come home. Tell Martha I'll catch turtles for her and painted turtles, and I'll take out the garbage and all that. I want to go home, you know, and he stuck out the year there. No, that was about it. You know.
What is the funniest memory you have of any child of yours? What is the funniest thing that sticks out in your mind?
I can't think of it right now.
No?
No, it would take
Not
me
not the Lederhosen?
Huh? Oh, that's one, but you're right. But Frank, and I had been in Germany, and I wanted to bring something back that's authentic. So for my friend and who was a girl, my best friends on Cary Road, and Frankie, I bought them a lederhosen. And I made him wear it to school, first day or whatever. I don't know if he was then first grade. It was before kindergarten. And he came back, Mom, don't ever make me wear that pants again. Everybody was laughing at me, you know. I said, well, I just wanted to show what they wear in the old days. And lederhosen, where I come from, north, nobody wears those. That's down south. The people, they have different, you know, tastes and all that. Yeah.
So, do you think there's any child of yours that is most like you?
I think it's Annalisa.
Yeah, and why is that?
I don't know. Maybe we got closer.
Okay.
I never got that close to Martha. And the boys, you know, boys go off on their own, you know. And yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any special sayings or expressions?
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, but I don't say it that often.
No, you don't.
Nothing. Or I say something that I didn't want to do or something. I say, oh, Jesus Christ. It's a good thing I'm not a Catholic, because you're not supposed to take God's name or whatever in, what do you call it?
In vain.
In vain.
Do you have any other sayings? Do you have a saying that you think you're known for?
Not that I know.
No? Not to each his own?
Huh?
Not to each his own?
Oh, right, to each his own. Yeah. I don't know.
Or whatever?
I don't know what you meant, huh?
Or when you say whatever?
Whatever. Yeah, all right, that's what you meant. See, I don't know what you meant. To each his own or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which comes down to each his own. You think that way, I think mine. To each his own, right?
What's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
Anybody said, oh, you're German, and when I was younger, you're beautiful. I said, yeah, sure. And then they tried to compliment me and say, oh, you're German, you must be a good cook. I said, no, I'm not. I never learned how to cook in Germany. Before the war, I was too young. During the war, there was nothing to cook with. And then even after that, you know, I learned how to make soup. Or pound of bones, you know, which I had to stand in line for 2 hours, you know.
So how did you learn how to cook?
Just that my mother-in-law rose. I used to do better. I know nothing really about German. I can do Wiener Schnitzel, but that's easy, you know. But my mother-in-law taught me how to make you know, sauce, Italian. That's where I learned Italian food, you know, the sauce, you know, and all that stuff.
So when the kids were little, what did you cook for them? Because didn't you have a meal every night? Weren't you pretty structured?
I don't know, something that went into one pot. Maybe fried up some hamburger or whatever and put vegetables in it or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. But definitely not gourmet food.
Was there any meal that your kids absolutely hated that they had to eat?
No, not the meal, except one son that didn't like eggs.
And which son is that?
That's Pat. He didn't even want to sit next to somebody who was eating an egg, which is up here because you didn't smell that. I didn't barely do hard-boiled eggs, but in Germany we ate for breakfast a lot of soft-boiled eggs. But you had to put it in a cup, you know, and you slice the head off of the egg and then eat it. And you had different spoons for that and all that. Those are all things over here and the silverware. They don't even have that, you know. And when you buy your dinner plates and all that, the whole set, it's never A cup. What the hell is an A cup? Who wants an A cup? You know. Here we get soft-boiled egg and it's cracking up and put the whole thing in a bowl, which makes sense. But that's how we ate it. I used to love the soft-boiled eggs. You know.
What was the meal that everybody loved? What was everyone's favorite meal that you cooked? Even now, what's your specialty?
Well, right now it's shrimp, but it's anybody comes in, I make my shrimp Newark, but not in Germany. Besides, we don't have we never had those big shrimp, they call them, we didn't get them up north. We got little ones we call granat. But those little ones, when they all come all the way and swim over here, and they must be that big, you know. So.
How many grandkids do you have?
Oh my God, 15.
And how many great-grandkids do you have?
Oh, no, 12 grandchildren. Great-grandchildren, 15 now.
So how many people did you create? Out of that family tree, how many people are there?
I don't know how many, but you have to read my book over there, the one that made Alyssa. Yeah.
Out of all your grandkids and great-grandkids, are there any that you think are very much like you?
Well, maybe you are.
And why is that?
Now. Because you think the way I do, and I don't know, for some reason. So,
Okay. So tell me.
And closest, you know, I've never gotten that close to anybody, especially since I moved here. And even up north, it used to be the ones who had most pictures taken when Jim was still alive was you.
You mean Nancy?
And Nancy.
Yeah.
You know, and That's about it.
So-
They were closest because Pat and Vicky.
Yeah.
Because I think one time, maybe, I don't know, Joe ever made a remark or something. How come there are no pictures? Because she never came to visit over there.
Mm.
You were there all the time, Once in a while, Annalie would come from up north in a van with the 2 kids already, and they would sleep out there and in the van too, But it's different.
Yeah.
But you were closer.
Mm-hmm.
And Nancy at that point was the closest to me.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the closest to Grandpa Jim too. And when he died too, she would sleep with me when she had a sleepover, like over the weekend, in bed with me. And I had Grandpa Jim's bear, teddy bear. We call him Grandpa Jim. I gave it to him and I kept it. And maybe she saw me getting kind of teary-eyed or depressed. I don't know what a kid knows, but they
She was a
know
smart kid.
what it-
Yeah.
And she says, "Don't feel sad, Omi. Grandpa Jim knows we're here. See, he can see us, That was so funny. And at times she was there for a weekend, and we had gone shopping. I had a bird then. That was Grandpa Jim's. Was his bird.
Was that Herbie?
But we call him Herbie, Uncle Herbie. And we opened up the door, and Nancy says, "Omi, I just saw something blue flying out." I said, "Oh no, couldn't be, because he used to let them fly around." But I didn't like them be in a cage all the time, which I should probably not. And he never came back. He was lost then, Probably some other animal got a hold of him, Then I cried. I left the cage open, put food out there, but he never came back.
So you became a widow at a very early age. So at some point you met Grandpa Jim.
Yeah.
And was he the love of your life?
Yes.
And how did you meet the love of your life?
Just we had been in. People used to try to invite me to meet other guys. I have met others, but it was never. Besides, you meet a guy, and they meet a woman. Can't even say girl anymore. A woman that already has 5 kids. They probably said, "Oh my God, you better stay away from her. She's liable to have 5 more," And I went to a friend's house for a party. It was a house party, and I said, "You and your friends, it never works out, so don't bother." She says, "Well, come in your own car, so you don't have to be picked up by anybody. You have got your own transportation back." And that's what I did, and that's how I met Grandpa Jim.
And what was he like?
And we just mellow, and we hit it off the first night.
And so what did you guys, when you guys were together, how long were you together for?
8 years.
And what would you guys do together?
Oh, for one thing, he would come and visit me, and I had to tell him there were 5 kids. And then he used to pick me up, and I would go to New York and stay in his apartment on Riverside Drive. That was sort of the elite group there. Riverside Drive, it's a one-way, and then there's a big park, and then there's the Hudson, And I said, wow, this is different. I learned so much about New York, which it was all unfamiliar to me. That was all something new, until he then finally taught me how to drive. And it took a couple of trips. Then it wasn't really, easy enough. But when you're a passenger, you never pay attention. I thought, all right, I get here, but do you remember exactly how you got there? And see, and to get. You have to get off 59th Street or 79 or 95th. I don't even know which one. You have to get off, and then you go around into Riverside. Before you get to Riverside Drive, I don't know if I could do it now again.
Okay.
But I loved it. And I loved his apartment. And from there, he showed me where his offices, his suite was. He was a film editor. Negative matching, mostly. And off of Broadway, 49th Street. And on the 8th floor, from the 8th floor, I could see Radio City. You know. And we went to a lot of shows there, and I saw all kinds of, Broadway shows, which I knew nothing about before that,
Did you guys travel a lot?
Oh, yes, and then he had a brother who lived on a houseboat, which is a house, not one of those that you drive back and forth on or navigate back and forth on whatever, you know. That had a fireplace and all that. So he says, my brother lives in Miami, and I forgot the name of the street, on one of the creeks, but it's not right on the east side near the Gulf. Not the Gulf is the west, Atlantic Ocean, so. And that's where we went, and I said, hey, this is neat, I like it. That's the first time I ever went anywhere. And the first time I flew, too, except when I came over.
Right.
That was different flying then, too.
Right.
But then we had the jets, 2.5 hours we were there, and his brother took care of us, and I loved that. And that houseboat had a suite up. You call it the second floor. You call it a loft. You see, that's weird. And you go up the stairs, and there was a big bed, king size bed, and the bathroom off of there, and all that. But then when you went to sleep, everything was push button. Everything was you push it, and a big thing would close up, give everybody privacy, and would go across from both ends and just close, And the bathroom, we used to go, it had jacuzzi in it, And I remember one time I put too many bubbles and I got a flood. I said, I think we took every towel in a place to mop it up. And I said, God, your brother's never going to invite us again. So that was good about that. But we cruised to Bermuda several times. And stayed in hotels there, nice hotels. And we always took the same Holland American cruise. It was Dutch the Volendam. And the same captain we had the second time, and we had a special dinner with the captain, because we were, old people, people who flew, traveled the second time with him, so that was nice, and I loved it. I really felt like Mrs. Astor. And that one time, I don't know, as Jim says, he could, by then we knew each other 5-6 years, and we knew that this was a steady, this wasn't just a fling, He says, we could ask the captain to marry us. And I just said, I don't know, I'm afraid to make anything like this legal. I'm afraid that we'll lose something. But why make it legal? I'm not going to get any more kids, So and that's how we ended up.
Do you remember when you first introduced him to your kids? Do you remember when you first introduced Grandpa Jim to your kids?
His what kid?
When you introduced Grandpa Jim to your kids.
My kids?
Your kids.
Oh, your kids. One at a time.
And how did that go?
Oh, fine. They all seemed to like them. They were already out of the house. The only one that was still living there was Frank. And he wasn't married yet. we went to his wedding, you know, and he's the one who took all the pictures. As a matter of fact, we went to your parents' wedding.
That's right. Yeah, there's pictures.
Yes, and he took the pictures, you know, and all that. No, he took to the kids, and they all seemed to like him, considering, you know, they're not used to their mother being with one guy. You know? Yeah. But I guess they were all happy for me, you know.
Was there one kid or grandkid that Grandpa Jim was the closest to?
That I don't know. No, he never liked to play favorites, you know. And he only had one son who went to college up in, what's the last state up on the Canadian border?
New York? Maine?
No, after that.
Maine?
You know where we went to automobile something school, you know, and he went to college there.
Okay.
And when he came back, lived with his mother, and he always tried to get him away from his mother because she was a piano teacher. She had beautiful, I'd seen the apartment, I was there one time, beautiful apartment that was rent controlled, but everybody would get there. And David, the son, I think somehow got his hands in it. He's smart too. At that price he got. I don't know if he lives there in that apartment now or whatever. So he says, God, if I can get that one controlled, he'd probably say I'll give my IT, you know. He's got a good business.
What would you say your greatest accomplishment is? What's the proudest thing you've ever done? What are you super proud of?
I think bringing up the kids and teaching them, not just manners, the value of anything. Don't look down on anybody. People certainly could have looked down on me and my kids. Who the hell goes out and cleans somebody else's goddamn toilets or whatever, you know. And they had to drive me back, whoever I worked for, they had to drive me. I didn't have a car until Joe was old enough to get his. And I never even learned to on that. And then he got himself a Thunderbird. I think I learned on that.
That's a nice car.
He killed that one in an accident, but that was his fault. And it took me a long time to get my own car. I think I had a Volkswagen. Joe used to have then from the Thunderbird was a blue one, but beautiful, you know. He got a Volkswagen, and he let me use it sometimes, and I had to learn to stick shift on there too, you know. And then one time Joe had. He was working in, not Darien, what's the next one? Danbury?
New Canaan, where my parents live?
New Canaan. He was working there for the same company he worked for before. Over, you know, and then that kitchen place. I forgot the name of it. And he says, all right, you can use my car and you can pick me up, you know. And he says, don't forget, when you run out of gas, there is a button you can push that has a spare tank.
Oh.
Whatever.
That's pretty cool.
Of course, stupid didn't pay attention to that. I was in the middle of, what's that big long street? It used to be, we mentioned it yesterday.
South Avenue?
Whatever. They used to call it something else.
It goes from, I think it's Mansfield or Middlesex, and then it turns into...
I only know it as Mansfield.
I
got stuck there, and it was dark. I said, holy crow, what do I have to pitch and all that? I said, I didn't know. And I flagged down a car behind me, and a man came up. Nowadays, everybody would say, nothing ever bothered me like that. And he said, this is my son's car, and he told me where the spare tank is, but I ran out of gas, it just stopped. So he says, oh, no problem, don't worry about it. And he showed me what to do, and I got all the way around the pickup. I had to get into there and make a left-hand turn, and that store was over there. I don't think Joe found out about it till a long time after that. And then I bought myself a Volkswagen after that.
That must have been pretty exciting.
Oh yeah.
Buying your first
and
car.
And I killed that one too.
Something.
I don't know. The insurance I had, I didn't do a good pick or whatever, you know. And I had an accident in Exit 5. Well, our AMP used to be. And then I forgot what was there before, Nielsen's or something like that, you know. And that's a real crazy intersection. You go this way, that way, you know. And I had a red light or green light coming. It was just very short. While the one over there can go, but you have to still watch the traffic. And I was hit. I totaled the car there.
And what happened to you?
Nothing to me.
Okay, so you were okay.
Yeah.
Good. You were talking about other, you've been talking about jobs that you've had. How did you end up working at Greenwich Hospital?
One of my neighbors told me that she was not at Greenwich Hospital, she was working for the, she wanted to be a nurse's aide. He says, money, you can start there. And that's when I applied at the Greenwich Hospital. And they taught me, there wasn't even called nurse's aide, but I wasn't a nurse and I wasn't a whatever. But they had a teaching school, and they train you for 6 months. You have to, but they pay you less than $1 an hour. But I already was on a payroll there, and they gave you. I remember those uniforms. I used to hate them. Skirts, you know, with the black stuff. And that's when little by little, pantsuits came out. You know. Because before that, nobody wore pantsuits.
Okay.
You had to wear a uniform and a thing on your head, you know. Nobody wears those anymore, those caps. Because the girls used to say, they ruin your head, your hair, you know. So anyhow, that's when I finally was not a full-fledged nurse, but that was only a couple of years when one of our we had a physical therapy department in the hospital, and the head doctor, how was his name? He was British. But anyhow, so he knew of me, that the way I was taking care of the patients, that they have to, for physical therapy, come up. And I was watching them, and he said, you'd be good at that. And he didn't teach me, but there was a place where they teach me anything about physical therapy for patients, patients who had strokes or hips or knees, what you had to do with them. Rather, sometimes they had to be treated in the bed, but the way they were not bedridden anymore, they could go downstairs to the department, and that's where I gotten into physical therapy. And from there, I got into cardiac rehab.
And how long were you at Greenwich Hospital for?
27 years.
Wow. Was there anyone there that you were really close with?
Oh yes, a lot of them. Barbara, and I still talk to them, we correspond, and, and a couple of other girls, and don't forget, in a physical therapy department, that was on the second floor. There was one for hearing and speech. They were separate because they have to be trained differently, And then they had one that was, I forgot what they call it, for people who had strokes and they had to be rehabilitated. And they had a little kitchen over there where they had to be taught what to do or how to reach for something like that. So when I had my hips done, I said, don't tell me, I know all that. I used to tell people, only it's different when you tell somebody that when you're told for the first time, get out of bed. I go, oh, this hurts, you know. It's different when you get the orders than when you're the recipient and you have to do whatever. But it's after, you know, when you have a hip done, next day you're up, gotta walk right away. And after 3 days, they send you either home and you have home care, or at the hospital when I was here in, of course, when I had it done here in Tarpon, Helen Ellis. You just, you know, they said they had a whole department downstairs where you can stay for a month if you wanted to. But beds, it's not just that you had to travel up and down or that. And I was there 3 or 4 days, I think. I forgot what day I arrived. I think the first time Alana was still here with me. And I said, I'll never stick out a whole week over there. There's nothing else they can do for me. I can tell everybody else what to do. And then when it came down for the second hip, the same girls were there, you know, the therapist. I said, oh, here she comes again. She's going to tell us our business, you know. No, but there was no complaints about that hospital, you know, and the girls in there. And then once I was homebound for a while, the physical therapist would come in every day for a week. I said, you know, and they do exercises, and but whatever you do, I can do on my own, you know. I mean, for 2 weeks, so, and that was it then.
So what made you decide to retire after 27 years?
My son.
Which son?
Joseph.
And
the oldest.
And
because I love the son. Whenever I could get time off from the hospital, I had a lot of vacation time, you know, and but by then Jim passed away, and you know, I just, you know, forgot my train of thought.
You were talking about why you retired and how you came to that decision.
So, and Joe said, why are you still working? You don't have to financially. You own a house. And everything else, you know, why, you know, why do you still want to work? I said, because I love my job. But then I was more even involved with cardiac rehab. I learned a lot there too, and all those girls, you know, that's a much smaller department, but a lot of guys who come in a couple of times a week, you know. One night, for the longest time we were, and both of them died too. But I love that, you know. I said, what am I going to do? Not working, you know, become a couch potato or something. He said, no, but you visit in June whenever you can, just to be in the sun. You know, I was always a sun worshiper.
Yes, you were.
And so, anyhow,
so that's how you got here. That's how you got to Florida.
And finally ended up in Florida. And Joe went out looking at places. He came back and he says, well, I found 4 places that are, I don't know what it is that shouldn't. I have to read the thing. Okay. And he says, I found 4 places. They also are in Tarpon Springs, not too far from where in June is, you know. And next week, I went with him, flew up, you know. And the real estate agent, I forgot her name, she was so nice too. And they went from one place to another. I think they were all sort of in this area, but most of them were houses, but it doesn't really make much difference. It wouldn't have made any difference. One I didn't like, it was too close in, I don't know what, any other. 4th one was this one. And I looked at it, I said, if I want to buy anything, this is the month I would buy this villa.
And what was about it that made you want it?
The openness and how you're not butt to butt with your neighbor, you know. And it just turned me on. And I said, I think the next week I took time off from work again. We went and I bought the house.
And how long have you been living here?
Well, I bought in 95.
Okay.
But I didn't. I used to send my friends, I said, you want to go to Florida for a while? Here are the keys, use it. And all you have to do is identify yourself, otherwise you can't get into private place like that. Even though it's not gated, you know, it's still private. And I said, yeah, I think this is what I like, you know. And then finally Joe taught me and said, Mom, you got this beautiful place here, nobody's living in here. You have to finish furnishing it, you know. This was, of course, all just screened in. There was nothing here but wooden floor, you know. And the 2 couches were there. I didn't like them. Whatever I got rid of, you know. He says, you know what? In 97, I finally quit work.
Okay.
And that was it, you know. Before that, then in 97, I just came over and bought a few things from up north, you know, that I wanted, and that was it.
So how often do you go back to Connecticut?
Well, when I first moved here, I bet I was there 5 times. I should have owned a plane by then, you know. 5 times. Anytime something was going on, where somebody was getting married or somebody was doing this, you know. Now, just twice a year.
And where do you stay when you go up there?
Easter and Christmas, you know. And Easter, I fly up to my daughter Annalisa's. But then I always take time to, somebody picks me up to visit everybody else. And Christmas, I fly into Pat's house. And from there, you know, I go visit Annalise for a while, and, you know, and everybody else. So I have to spread it around so feelings don't get hurt.
That's right. You got to make sure you see all your 5 kids and your 12 grandkids and your 15 great grandkids.
It's hard, you know.
So that brings us up to present day. So how old are you today?
89.
And when will you be 90?
Columbus Day. Let somebody figure out where Columbus is. That's October the 12th.
Okay.
When I was born in Germany, October the 12th, I didn't know about Columbus Day. I just knew later when the kids said, I said, oh, this is my birthday. And that's why you're having a day off. But they knew right away. It didn't take long. They said, no, we're having a day off because it's a legal holiday. It's Columbus Day. Not because it's your birthday. I said, I know. Try to fool you when you were younger, not anymore, you know.
How do you feel about turning 90? How do you feel about turning 90?
It's going toward the end. I know. I mean, what am I going to live to be 120? God forbid. That's when the people say, well, maybe you shouldn't eat it. I said, why not? I eat whatever I want. You know, and it's a good thing that I'm not an excessive drinker or anything like that. But I like a glass of wine. But I like it when people come over, I make my shrimp and we have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
I don't like to sit and have it by myself. It doesn't taste the same.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
It's weird like that, you know? And I have the best. I buy good wines so I don't look so cheap. I have one bottle. One costs only $3 in Walmart. It's a white wine. I think it's a Chardonnay or whatever the brand is. But to me, it tastes good. I'm not a connoisseur. Let's put it that way. I have a son who thinks he's it, you know, with his wine.
When you look back on almost 90 years, what do you think? What do you think of yourself? Are you proud of yourself? Are you?
Yeah, I think I raised up a bunch of kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope they're doing the same with theirs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't forget it was different in my days.
Yeah.
Kids then didn't have what kids get now,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let any kid have whatever they want.
That's right.
But that's the case one.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand, I don't like the idea with little kids walking around with the cell phones. No, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine if they shouldn't have one going to school anyhow. If it's the high school kid, they better turn it off.
Right.
But little ones, you know, there's no reason why they should. They get picked up by school, by their parents, usually, you know, when they're younger. And, you know, they don't have to take a bus or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's a school bus, fine, they know what to do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It just, this cell phone bit went, to me, way out of proportion.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody should have a cell phone. That's why I still have, for one thing, I'm too old to learn all this electronic stuff. I still have the old-fashioned flip phone.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get calls, make calls, receive messages, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And have my log in there for the, like an address, you know,